Only 6% of people who are homeless are physically sleeping rough on the streets. And half the people who access homelessness services are actually under the age of 25.
Our guest today is providing services for young people who are facing a crisis so they don't end up on the street. Welcome to The Human Factor, the show where we explore social change through the eyes of social entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders. My name is Melanie Roussin, her name is Erin McKay, and we are your hosts. Adam James is the founder and executive director of Cup from Above, a community cafe located in our hometown of Brisbane, Australia. Cup from Above is a fully functional cafe, but operates as a non-for-profit, selling coffee to deliver its mission of helping disadvantaged people in the local community, tackling issues like barrier to employment, homelessness, drug addiction, crime, and poverty. Adam and his team offer comprehensive support to those in need, all while running a busy cafe. So hi, Adam. Please fill in the gap in my intro and tell us how you would describe yourself.
Oh, that's a hard question. I'm a barista. I'm a man of faith. I run a business and I run a charity now. So yeah, that's somehow all of those things together, I guess, is my description.
I love it. And so what would, being all of those things, what would a typical day look like for you?
It's a bit of a roller coaster. So typical is hard to pick, but so sometimes it's, that we don't have staff and I've got to get in and make coffee. So sometimes it's just being a barista or it's training baristas or, training crew. But then like every day we're working with people who are significantly disadvantaged in our community. So I still do a lot of one-on-one work with violent criminals, people struggling with severe addiction, homelessness, and all the issues that come along with that. So that's all day, every day, and dealing with various crises that pop up with that to help people out, and that's what a typical day looks like.
Great. And what is the one thing that most people don't know or understand, Adam, about people who are in a crisis situation?
Oh, yeah, great question. All right. So a lot of people are focusing on the things, the crisis, and not the underlying causes of it. And so, they see someone who's homeless and they're saying, okay, well, we need to get a house for this homeless person because, that's the solution, right? But it's not, I don't think that's true anymore. I think the difference between a house and a home is the warm, healthy relationships under that roof. And we don't call homeless people houseless, we call them homeless. And it's actually the relationships that are the critical issues. And that's so much harder, more difficult, more comprehensive to address than just finding someone, a roof over their head. And I think that pertains to addiction, crime, every single, major issue that people struggle with in our community.
Very much so. It's actually what I lecture at university, Adam. Because I lecture health promotion, and then in health promotion, we always think that people, are in a certain situation because of purely their own behavior. So if they're smoking, they need to stop smoking, or if they're taking drugs, they need to stop taking drugs. And what we're working on is all the kind of environment factor and the social factor associated to that, I guess, and how to influence the broader environment or, even the policies and things like that. So I can relate to what you're saying. And tell me, Adam, how does Cup from Above ensure it's working towards achieving its social mission while also running a profitable business and doing all of those things that you just talked about?
It's a difficult tension, social enterprise. The primary agenda is the social outcomes, but it can't be at the detriment to the business. It's been really difficult to manage that tension over the years. We used to function as a drop-in center, and that effectively meant that the business was only sort of tertiary to the drop-in center. I don't know if that makes sense. So we have people coming down who are come to the cafe who are struggling with addiction, crime, really severe issues, while trying to run a profitable high-end cafe for the community. And it was just an impossible tension. So that has changed now for us. We've geographically separated those things so that the cafe exists to train people up with skills and just to function as a profitable cafe. And in an entirely different suburb, we work on our charitable agenda of like working with people in a comprehensive way to, out of addiction, homelessness, criminal behavior, etc.
And so do programs like your cafe chaplains, do they still occur in your new location or are they only happening at the Aspley?
We're just reassessing that at the moment. So the cafe chaplains, used to be based out of the cafe. And so we're looking to change that, title to community chaplain, and that will happen from the suburbs separate to the cafe as a general rule. Occasionally, very occasionally, that might mean at the cafe location, but not as a drop-in, like by appointment only and through relationship. So what we found is the drop-in centre actually didn't encourage ongoing relationship. Sometimes it meant the initiation of a constructive relationship, but I found that too overwhelming for the social enterprise combination to function effectively.
So I guess on that note, you guys I understand you've had a really quite tumultuous year relocating and having to reassess a lot of those sorts of things about what Cut From Above is doing. And so I wonder if you could tell us about that and tell us what would have been, I imagine it would have been one of your worst moments for as a charity. Tell us about it.
Oh, yeah, it was excruciating, hey, on just so many levels. So we actually made the decision to discontinue as a drop-in centre only a few weeks before we found out that the building was sold to be redeveloped. And there was just a lot of people were, they saw Cut From Above as a drop-in centre. And that to make that decision as a leader, was really difficult. But, I was wearing a lot of the cost of that, and just people weren't either willing to pay for it or volunteer to do it. And so we just had to make that decision, which was really difficult, and actually turning people away who were coming in for help. Like that was just, oh man, yeah, that was one of the most difficult things ever. And then we lost the building anyway, which by chance of fate, I guess, and then that allowed us to redo the strategic plan, reassess, what are we doing that actually works well and where we're seeing transformation in people's lives, and just focus on what was working really well. And so as painful as it was, it's now allowed for this new phase of our mission to focus on, really seeing long-lasting transformation and on every level in the most severely disadvantaged crew in our community.
Yeah, it sounds like it's all worked itself out a little bit. So tell us about what has been your biggest lesson learnt from that journey. And I wonder how our listeners can actually take that and apply that to their own cause.
You can get so caught up in, well, I can do this, and well, it's helped them a little bit today, and you get the compassion to help people. It's never ending because there's so many people in need. Like, where do you draw the line for that? And you're only I'm only one person, and this is only one organization. And someone advised me, or several people advised me, just to focus on what we're really uniquely great at, and just humbly let go of everything else. And so that was painful to do that. And, people like internal and external to the organization were resistant to that. But, having done that now, we're so much more effective. And look, I probably need to explain this. This is probably a great way to illustrate it. We had 2 to 11 people per day turning up to the drop-in centre, which was a cafe, and extreme crises. So people on the run from the law, people on, serious addiction issues. And we were so busy helping these people. But when we assessed all of those people that we were helping, there was next to no long-term change with any of those people. But we had some comprehensive programs like the Sevens, and where we were seeing long-term change on like employment, behavior on every single level. We were so busy with the drop-in center that several of the people that were in the long-term program nearly relapsed because we were too busy helping people. And that was it for me. Like when that happened, that was the pivotal point to making the difficult decision. So yeah, focus on what you're great at and just humbly let everything else, go, and another organization can take that up. That's my advice.
Great advice, and I'm sure that a lot of our listeners can relate to that as well. Would you tell me, Adam, on a positive note, what is the greatest idea that you had to date? So, for example, if you had an aha moment and you turned it into what we see today, take us to that story.
It's been a journey and it's been accumulative. So there's been quite a few small ahas, but probably the biggest one, about 2 years ago, the issue of homelessness and addiction kept on popping up, and we're really curious about it. We wanted to delve into it more. So a few of us from the organization went homeless for a week, and we called it Street Week. And it was to raise awareness for homelessness, but it was more of a discovery journey for me. And we spoke to dozens of people who are homeless as equals on the street, and all we had was a swag, and we ate alongside. They thought we were homeless just as they were. And it was during that week that the constant theme was the broken relationship. So there was generally a traumatic event that led to some sort of, losing their job or a divorce or other significant breakdown from family. And that led them to the path of homelessness. And we asked ourselves, what if the issue is not so much the not having the house, it's not having the relationships to get the house, to get where you would build a home. And that was, I remember I was under a bridge in West End next to a homeless guy who was screaming and he was coming down or something. It was a pretty scary moment. And I sort of just had that epiphany of reflecting on all the conversation I had that day and over the years preceding, I guess. And that was it. It's the relationships. And so from that week, we set up the Sevens program. And so the Sevens is a peer support group based on function, not dysfunction. So it's finding 7 healthy members of the community who want to reach out to an individual who's significantly struggling with homelessness, addiction, criminal activity, broken relationships, any significant social issue. And they're not there for therapy or to fix them. They're there just to be a friend. And their commitment is 5 minutes to 5 hours a week for a year, at least. And that's the Sevens program. And that birthed out of Street Week and that epiphany. So I think that'd be the greatest aha moment over the years.
Sounds amazing. And I guess what I wanted to ask you, Adam, is I was in your cafe this morning and I noticed on the wall that you had a sign that says, how can you help? And you were able to take, my understanding is that you could take a token and then, for example, if there was a time token, you could pay $30 and then a member of your staff will be spending an hour with someone in need. Or you had the crisis hamper, which I really love, which is about, a food hamper, I guess, for people in crisis. That was $35. My question to you is, are people taking that up, I guess?
Cut for Rob is based on our membership base. So we've got like 320 members at the moment. And all of our members pay $20 a year to be a member. And, they believe in the cause and they sort of contribute. And quite a few of them will contribute more than the $20 and they'll purchase time tokens or food for people in crisis, all volunteered like their own time to help out people. And that's how Cut for Rob works. So it's paid for the community by the community.
Oh, that's so great. And on that, Adam, so how do you communicate with your supporter and the local community to show the impact that their efforts are having?
Mainly via social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we've got an email membership as well. So you can sign up to the email newsletter on the website, or you can become a member of Cut for Rob too on the website as well, and you receive the monthly newsletter to let everyone know all the great things that we're doing at the moment. So that's a great way to stay in touch and to be involved with what we're doing. So absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess having a look at your website, it clearly shows just how many programs you guys have got your fingers in. And so what I was wondering is, how do you choose where to invest your time and your members' money? How do you make that decision?
So it's based around, all of our programs have been designed around the needs that have arisen from the people who are coming to us in various crisis situations. So we didn't want to, like, we've had a few ideas over the years and just go, well, let's try this. And it's been our idea prescribing for them. But I don't think that's the best way to approach it. So over the years, it's more been tailored around like these needs that are coming to us. So that's the priority, and also the efficacy of those programs. So we found that the long-term stuff like the Sevens program, it sees long-lasting change and complete transformation for that individual and their family and the community around them. So all our emphasis now is on those long-lasting things, like the Sevens program.
And so we're coming to the end of the interview. So for our final questions, we like to do a little bit of a lightning round, meaning that we love our guests to just tell us the first thing that comes to their mind. So it doesn't necessarily have to be related to Cup from Above or your mission, but of course it can be. But we just like to get a feeling of what's on your mind right now. So our first question in the lightning round is, what are you most excited about today?
Opening Cup from Above number 2. We've just announced that in our strategic plan, which is about to sort of roll out. And we want to get another Cup from Above and launch our second site.
Any ideas of where it will be?
Brisbane Central. So I think we've marked it out on a map, but in an affluent area where it's geared towards success. We're calling the new strategic plan Operation Robin Hood. So we want to. The idea is to be in a rich area, to have very well functioning social enterprise, to take the wealth that we accumulate from there and help people in poor areas in the community. So yeah, that's the aim.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first on Human Factor.
Love it. What was the one thing that was holding you back from starting Cup from Above?
I guess the opportunity just to do it. So it wasn't. I've been working in social work for like 10 years at the point of Cup from Above, and it's quite a story actually. But Cup from Above wasn't my idea. It was something that just unfortunate business venture that ended up as Cup from Above, and then I turned it into a social enterprise, and that's how it all started. Yeah, but to actually leap out and do that, I may not have done that ever if that unfortunate situation happened. So yeah, it was fate, I guess, or something greater maybe.
Don't you love it when things work out in the end?
Absolutely, yeah.
What is the best advice that you ever received?
I've got a great team of mentors, like really successful people who have done far greater things than me, and I meet with those guys at least weekly. And so it's having a source of great advice would be my advice. Just today we had some pretty significant dramas, and we deal with some really messy situations. So, I've got some great lawyers, I've got great psychologists, pastors, community leaders, CEOs, businessmen. And, whenever there's a drama that turns up that they're highly successful in, I go to them. So yeah, it's the source of advice, I guess, and having high quality advice for those things. So
I love it. Why choose when you can have them all?
And you sort of beat me to the punch there, but it is sadly time to start wrapping up. And we ask all of our guests if they could leave a few words that our listeners would really take to heart today, what would they be? Focus on the one. It's so easy in a charity to be all things to all men, and it's not good for you. It's not good for the people that we help. It's really focus on the one and help that one individual exceptionally well, and then replicate that. That's my advice. Yeah, that is so true. As someone who's spent their entire career in charities, I think that's one of the sector's downfalls, is that they're too helping. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad to see. But but also liberating when we start seeing those individuals, liberated and independent. And yeah, absolutely.
And to finish, Adam, so let's do a bit of a shout out. How can people help and reach out to you?
Yeah. So social media, as I mentioned, that's the main one online. The website, of course, and on the website, it's got a map to where you can find us in Fortitude Valley, 740 Ann Street. So come in. We got ranked number 7 in Australia for coffee last year. So we make a mean cup of coffee, as you discovered this morning.
I sure did.
So that's the best way. Like coming in and just drinking coffee and connecting with on an organic, business level. That's great. If people want to volunteer, there's a way to sign up. You can become a member online, or you can, if you want to actually, help out a Cup from Above. We're always looking for great volunteers, so you can sign up online and go to the website and get in touch with us.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time and joining us on The Human Factor today, Adam.
Thank you. It's been great. Hey, really good to talk about all this stuff.
The goodie bag. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a goodie bag.
Love it. So thank you for this introduction, Erin. So today what I'm going to put in the goodie bag is a dog. So he's a therapy dog. They call him a funeral therapy dog. His name is Buddy. And I guess saying goodbye to a loved one is never easy. So I really like this idea of having a beautiful golden retriever kind of come in and comforting you. So that's the idea of this dog. And I think the reason why I like that also is I teach at uni. And then yesterday we had some presentation from students on mental health for students. And then they were talking about the fact that there's some research to show also that if we were to have puppies at university, which I would love, then, it will help our students when they are at the end of the semester and they stress for the assignments and the exams and all of that. So I think I'm going to put a bit of a case together to have puppies at my universities.
Yeah, there's lots of therapy dogs at the moment and really making a difference to people. And it just goes to show that animals and the comfort of an animal can actually make a really big difference.
Definitely. So what are you putting in the goodie bag?
Well, I'm actually putting in a book that I just recently finished reading, but it's not a new book. It was actually written in 1949 and there's recently been a movie made from it, but I haven't seen the movie. And the book is called Carol. And the book is all about two women in 1949 who are in a lesbian relationship. And it follows their story along. And it's really, really interesting because obviously at that time, same-sex in relationships were actually illegal. But when I was looking this up, the last state to decriminalize same-sex relationships in the US actually did so in 2003. That is insanity. And the reason why I want to put it in the goodie bag is because not only is it a great story, but in the afterward, the author was talking about how after she published this, she received letters from people from the lesbian and gay community who said, thank you so much for portraying our characters in a very real way, because the fiction of the time was most often had the gay characters either turn straight or actually kill themselves. And it's such an important part. It's still such an important topic to be discussing because today, when the day we're recording is actually coming out day, which is, trying to help people that are gay or lesbian and haven't come out to people, give them a safe space to do so. So it's such an important message still for today.
And it's so timely in Australia because we just had the vote on marriage equality as well.
Exactly. And this is a book that was written in 1949, which seems like such a distant time, but actually some of it is unfortunately still really relevant today. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please head to iTunes, subscribe, and then leave us a review and a rating. Then head over to our Facebook page, The Human Factor, and hit like and join in the conversation. Tell us what you thought of our episode today, and if you have any thoughts or insights to add to anything Adam said, leave us a comment.
Or you can tweet us at @humanfactor, or visit the website humanfactor.com.au, and you can leave us a voicemail or a message. This show is just one part of a community that really wants to affect and grow social change. So if there is someone that you know that you'd like us to interview, please let us know.
As it's our last episode of the year, we did also want to say a big special thank you for everyone who's listened to us in 2017.
And as you're listening right now, I'm in Hawaii, so please feel free to be jealous. But most importantly, have a safe and Merry Christmas.
You're all awesome, and we'll see you next time.